It's the dream of many people to get rich, but for some, that's just the first hurdle. They want to get so rich that they don't just have millions, they have billions. And thus people go to great lengths to become some of the richest of the land. At times, that can backfire in a huge way. Mainly, even billionaires can go broke. Allow us to show you 10 of them. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 10. Huang Weiji. Huang Weiji was the chairman of the China Jingjing Holdings, a Hong Kong-based umbrella-making company, 75% stake of which is owned by him and his wife, Chen Jua. In a recent stock market dip, his company's stock fell about 91% in just 2 days, tanking his $1.9 billion of personal wealth. Number 9. Patricia Kluge. Patricia Kluge was married to once the richest man in the world, John Kluge, who had a personal wealth of $5 billion in 1990. At the time of their divorce, Patricia was left with just $1 million in alumni. She also received the lavish estate of Albemarle in the Virginia countryside. She went into business for herself, including taking a major loan out and doing real estate. Bad idea. The 2008 banking and housing crisis caused Patricia to default on her loans and was forced to sell her Albemarle estate along with her valuable possessions. Now you could argue that she really wasn't a billionaire, as she went from having everything at her fingertips to literally losing everything in her hands. That's rough. Number 8. Sean Quinn. Sean Quinn was once the richest person in Ireland with a net value of about $6 billion in 2005. With the help of his holdings company, Quinn Group, and was invested heavily in various banks in the region. But in 2008, a financial crisis hit and Sean Quinn lost almost all of his family wealth, most of which is attributed to the drastic losses of the Anglo-Irish Bank. Tried to do some insider moving of money, if you will, and that resulted in him losing even more money. As a result, he filed for bankruptcy in 2011. Number 7. Alberto Villar. Now let's get to the more scandalous of their billionaires go broke story, shall we? Alberto Villar is a former US-based investment manager who made billions through his investment company, Armarindo Investment Advisors. The company worked and was valued at $1 billion at its peak of power. As you can tell, that didn't last. A violent stock market sell-off that happened in 2000 hurt the company in a major way. Then in 2005, Villar and Tanaka were arrested on charges of securities fraud and 3 years. Both were convicted of money laundering, wire fraud, and stock fraud cases. A 10-year punishment was issued. Number 6. Adolf Merkel. Adolf Merkel was once one of Germany's richest people with a personal wealth of around $12.8 billion. A crisis in 2008 did take a chunk of those billions, but he was able to hang on to much of his wealth. However, in 2008, his investment firm VEM faced a serious liquidity crisis and reported $6 billion in losses. Wanting to get his wealth back, Merkel gambled big on some investments, but they all backfired, and he lost everything, so much so that he ended his life rather than be broke. Number 5. Vijay Mallya. Vijay Mallya is an Indian businessman and a former billionaire who is currently a subject of extradition from the UK to India to face charges of massive financial fraud, which isn't something you'd usually hear from India when you think about it. Mallya took over his father's mid-sized liquor company at the age of 28 and turned it into a major success, making him worth about $1.5 billion as a result. Not bad when you think about it. Except he overreached and it cost him everything. He started piling up millions of dollars in debt, which isn't something you're supposed to hear from a man worth billions. He was so in danger from those who needed to collect those debts that he fled to the UK. Number 4. Björgólfur Gudmundsson. The banking crisis of 2007-2008 affected Iceland more than any nation in the world, which is saying something when you really think about it. First of all, these 3 major Icelandic banks defaulted on their loans in late 2008. This sent shockwaves throughout the land that lasted for literal years. But Björgólfur Gudmundsson was the second richest person in Iceland before the crisis, so the total wealth of $1.1 billion was heavily affected by this, obviously. In less than 1 year, his personal wealth went down from $1.1 billion to $0. Showing just how quickly these financial crises can affect everyone, even the highest of the high. Number 3. Elizabeth Holmes. Elizabeth Holmes, an American inventor and entrepreneur, became the youngest self-made female billionaire in 2015 when she made a revolutionary healthcare technology company. It was called Theranos and had a value of $9 million. Her rise to fame was documented well, including her being in Time magazine. You see the shoe about to fall? Because it is. You see, authorities started to investigate Theranos and Holmes herself because it appeared she was lying to people about what her company would do and thus got investor money under false pretenses. After this got out, her wealth dropped to $0 and everyone called her out for being the liar that she was. She even got banned from running her own company for 2 years. Number 2. Alan Stanford. Robert Allen Stanford was the chairman of now defunct financial services company Stanford Financial Group. Under it was Stanford International Bank, which stated to have $8.5 billion in AUM, asset under management, via 30,000 clients in over 136 different nations. Impressive! But in 2009, the SEC launched an investigation on Alan Stanford and found it was nothing more than a Ponzi scheme. As such, he was arrested, charged, and jailed. Number 1. Bernie Madoff. Yeah, you should have known he was going to be on here, mainly because at one time Bernie Madoff was worth $65 billion, or so he claimed. Madoff owned an investment securities business and made his success over years of hard work, so he was one of the biggest names on Wall Street, which was real for a time, even bringing in family and specialists to keep things going smoothly. But it wasn't going smoothly. It was the largest Ponzi scheme in history, and he knew it. Eventually, he had to confess to his sons what was really going on, and they turned him in as a result. Eventually, he was sentenced to serve 150 years in prison, which was good, and obviously his worth was less than zero, but it didn't help all the people he hurt. So you see, sometimes billionaires going broke is bad for all involved, especially when scum like Madoff take advantage of others to try and keep their status. There you go, everyone. A look at various billionaires who have gone broke over the years. Which of these billionaires did you know about beforehand? Which of these stories shocked you the most? Do you know another billionaire who went broke in tragic fashion? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you next time on the channel.